Hey, once again, everyone, it's Eric Wilhelm here with weather for Weather Geeks on Monday evening, 17th day of February. Hope you had a good weekend. We certainly had some cold weather at times over the weekend. We hit 1 degree at the Youngstown Warren Airport first thing Saturday morning, and this morning was certainly cold and frosty. Boy, that was thick frost out there this morning, but it turned out to be a much nicer day today. This time-lapse video from our Niles camera will show the sunrise, and again, cold start, but then actually a fair amount of sunshine for the rest of the morning and at least the first half of the afternoon. These cirrus clouds gradually thickened and lowered some later in the afternoon, but it was still a winter out there today. And, we're getting into the second half of February, and it's the time of the year now where even if it's cold outside, if the sun is out, especially as we get into late morning when the sun's getting higher in the sky, the sun is getting high enough in general in the sky now, getting stronger, that the sun really can make a difference. Back on the first day of winter, maximum sun angle at solar noon was 26 degrees above the horizon. Not much changes through mid-January, but then things start to become noticeably a little brighter, a little bit better if we are lucky enough to have some sunshine later in the winter. Right now our sun angle is about 36, 37 degrees. In 6 weeks it's up to 54 degrees, and of course all the way up to 72 degrees above the horizon, as high as it gets at our latitude as we get into the first handful of days of the summer season. It gradually starts lowering, of course, as we get deeper into summer, but boy, that first few weeks of June and even the first couple of weeks of July, that is when we have our maximum daylight and the sun gets highest in the sky. All right, today is the 17th of February, and when you compare today's sun angle, or the strength of the sun, to kind of the analog at the other time of the year, it's October 24th. That's when we also in the calendar year have a sun angle most similar to today, about 36 to 38 degrees above the horizon. And of course, we're about 5 weeks away now from the vernal equinox, just as on October 24th, that's about 5 weeks after the autumnal equinox. We did 44 today with that nice sunshine. That's 7 above the average. Record high set in 2006, 61, but look at that record low, 14 below in that brutal February of 1979. That was a tough one back in 1979. Again, cold, frosty start to the day, although 22 is pretty much par for the course at this time of the year. All right, so we have some dry air in place this evening, so a lot of this is virga, precipitation not reaching the ground. We are going to be too warm for this stuff. This is snow that's confined to parts of Wisconsin and Michigan, and eventually we will see some rain overnight as the atmosphere moistens up. Our dew points are in the mid-20s now. The relative humidity is fairly low. It's going to take a little while for the atmospheric column to saturate and this rain to start reaching the ground, but it will eventually, and that's probably mostly after midnight, and especially towards 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And as a lot of people head off to work and school on Tuesday morning after a long weekend, plan on some wet weather, nothing all that heavy, but some light rain will be around. In the wake of this warm front, temperatures will actually rise tonight and then kind of peak right around midday tomorrow. Timing on the cold front then is around 1 to 2 p.m., and after that temperatures will start gliding back, although we'll still be well above average. Even with the falling temperatures, we'll hang on to the clouds through the rest of Tuesday. No concerns with any flooding or any issues with the rain around here. Actually, it'll be a little nice to wash some of the salt off the roads and off our cars. General, probably quarter to at most a half an inch. I think a good average will be about a quarter of an inch to 0.3, maybe 0.4, 0.5 would be about the upper limit, I think, of our expected rainfall. Rest of the week, boy, snooze and cruise weather. The big story will be the cold for a couple of days as a big sprawling area of high pressure. Now, this high originated up in the Northwest Territories of Canada, so it's packing some cold air. But this thing is sprawling, and it's going to sprawl out and give us very benign weather for the rest of the week. And interestingly, this high will feed enough cold air down into the deep south, and as a front stalls out, there's going to be some snow in some places that aren't used to getting much snow as we go through the end of the week and the start of the weekend. So we're talking places such as maybe Raleigh, North Carolina, out towards Wilmington, North Carolina, maybe as far south and west as Charlotte, and certainly in the mountains of the southern Appalachians, there could be some modest accumulations of snow and perhaps some impacts later on this week. For us, I don't think we see any accumulating snow for at least 8 or 9, if not 10 or more days around here. Here's a look at the next 10 days versus average temperature-wise. Here's our cold shot, but it's quick. We're back to almost to average by Friday, above average by Saturday. It's going to be a nice weekend. I think it's bright and sunny Saturday with highs in the middle and upper 40s, and probably knocking on the door of 50 on Sunday. Some showers perhaps on Monday, maybe a little bit of a cool down there, but then The mild air probably peaks middle of next week, say right around the 25th, 26th. I think we'll have some 50s. 60 is maybe pushing it a little bit as far as expected highs, but I think we'll touch 50 at least once, if not twice, during the middle of next week. Now, no snow next 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 days. Medium range here is looking mild. Is winter over? Can we say, hey, there's not going to be any more snow? No. Let's, in fact, switch over to my browser here. I want to talk about the longer range. Now, the longer range in general, in the grand scheme of things, does not look particularly cold. But we're in a pattern that can occasionally produce some shots of colder air, like we're going to have later this week. I think later next week and towards the very end of February, another cold shot's going to come down. Here's a look at our warm-up by the weekend and early next week. That's a pretty blowtorchy looking pattern for the eastern U.S. right around the 25th, 26th. But notice this cold dump coming into the Rockies. Well, this is going to go somewhere, and yeah, I think it's going to come east as we go through the second half of next week. So here's late next week. This is the 28th right here, Friday the 28th. That's a pretty cold looking weather map. 29th, and don't forget it's a leap year, so we have a 29th of February this year, and here's March 1st. Now this is probably fairly transient. It's probably a few days and not any sort of a pattern change per se. Things still look pretty unfavorable for any sort of significant pattern change. There's no blocking in the northern Atlantic really to speak of in the medium range to keep the cold locked in to the eastern U.S. So yes, we're going to have some cold shots, and with those cold shots, if things line up, we'll probably see some sort of frozen precipitation. So I would never say on February 17th that we're done with snow. That's not where we live. We live in a place that, despite a large-scale mild pattern, we live in a place that's still going to be hit with some cold occasionally, and that's going to occasionally come with some moisture, and that means something frozen, and we'll have to leave open that possibility. You know how it goes around here. We'll have to leave open that possibility through at least early April. As I mentioned on a few editions of this video, I am fairly optimistic that March is not going to be kind of as lousy as some of our recent Marches have been. Is it as far above the average as the preceding few months? Not sure about that yet. But I don't see much in the way of a signal, and there's actually not much historical precedent to a big-time flip in March if we ran the table in winter. If December, January, and February were all warm, it very rarely happens that March flips the script completely and is cold. Usually, if you've run the table in winter, that trend tries to continue into early spring. We'll have more updates on the March forecast. We'll get one from the Climate Prediction Center in a few days. I'll show you that in a few days. And then we'll, of course, do our official March forecast as we reach the end of February late next week. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks tonight. I'll see you back here on Tuesday.